Hi there, it's Carla again. So this is day 2 of me talking about Traeger. So thank you for watching my first one. It was in the dark a lot. I didn't realize that. And so hopefully the lighting is a little better this time. And my friends joked and said that before this is all said and done, I'll have like a whole stage situation. So I'll be a pro. Hopefully it doesn't go on too many days because hopefully I'm back working. Or maybe it does continue to go on. I encouraged my Traeger community, like, what about Traeger Tuesday? And that if every Traeger therapist in the United States spoke out about Traeger and its impact on their life every Tuesday and posted it, wouldn't that be fun? So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, well, what is Traeger? Just like a really quick, so Traeger is a type of bodywork. It's a movement-oriented bodywork that was developed by a man named Milton Traeger, who was an MD. He had a lot of success working with polio patients, and students sort of came along in his life, and the Traeger Institute was developed where Traeger is taught. We are now just the USTA, US Traeger Association, and Traeger is worldwide in all kinds of other countries. In the United States, we have about 400 Traeger therapists, plus or minus. I don't remember the exact details right now. Most of us, so there's a few physicians, a lot of physical therapists, a lot of massage therapists. There's pretty high burnout with massage therapy. Their bodies hurt. It's a lot of pushing against resistance, which is something really sweet about Traeger. It's very easy to do. Kind of go into that loose meditative state, and you just get the body rocking and start a rhythm, and you follow it. And so it's easy on our bodies. And the more relaxed my body is, the better my session is. So it's good to do. I feel good after I give Traeger sessions. Some midwives, massage therapists, who else? Dancers, yoga instructors, wives or husbands of really sick loved ones that have come to Traeger to try to help them sort it out. All kinds of different people, all coming for mostly coming to Traeger because they were in crisis in some way, had their own sort of train wrecks in their body, and were looking to sort that out, and were really touched and impacted by the profoundness of the Traeger work. So again, there's not very many of us. I think in the state of Maine, there's maybe 4. Susan, Liz, Lindsay, she's seasonal, Virginia's seasonal, and Shante, and myself. It's not too many, but it's a pretty good number considering there's only about 400 in the United States. A typical Traeger session is usually an hour to 90 minutes. People charge anywhere from $50 to $100. I charge 50 to 90 sliding scale, whatever people can pay me in that. And if that doesn't work for people, sometimes they pay me in eggs. I would never not work on a person or a horse for that matter, or dog if it was in need. One of the things that I love about Traeger and Traeger therapists is we were all taught by the same instructors, same set of instructors, 4 or 5 instructors only in the Traeger community. And so there's a very strong common thread from one Traeger therapist to the next, and that is the core philosophies of Traeger, taught by those handful of practitioners. And then we run it through our own filter system, like I do Carla Traeger, but it has a core thread of the essence of Traeger and what Milton Traeger wanted us to move forward. Evolution has happened in the work, which is just a good thing. It's destined to happen. Some of the core elements, so if you had a Traeger session from me, and then you went to Tracy in Florida and you had a Traeger session, or if you went to someone in California and had a Traeger session, there's going to be like, it's going to feel like Traeger. There's going to be a very common denominators that happen in the session. One, Mentastics or mental gymnastics, or these self-care movements that are taught in the upright or taught sitting. And two, table work. And a lot of common threads. And again, I do the Carla version of Traeger because I bring who I am and all the other things that I've studied, just who I am as a human to the table, just like everybody does. My rhythm is different. What I find interesting to play with in the body is different. So some of these common threads that I think separate us. So we're kind of put into the movement-orientated bodywork category. So not massage therapy, but movement-orientated bodywork. So Rolfing, Feldenkrais, Alexander, Rolfing, Feldenkrais, Alexander, and Traeger. Sort of the main movement-orientated bodyworks. And so some of the things, one of the things that I want to talk about is hookup. And not like a bound chicka bound hookup, right? Like online dating. But hookup is something that Milton Traeger coined, and it is a key element of all Traeger sessions and all Mentastics and life, really. And hookup is an emptying of all that I may carry with me in a day, or from moment to moment, stress that I may be collecting, or focus that may be taking me outside of a hookup place. Or the hookup is a meditative place in which we all have access to. And in that meditative place, hooked up with source, hooked up with emptiness, hooked up with all that is. And so when you drop down into hookup and you step to the treatment table, you bring with you lots of possibilities of amazing things happening, because it isn't my brain that is a part of the Traeger session. I'm really hooked into something much bigger than myself, and also emptied of myself, hopefully, and emptied of the stresses that would be called myself. I bring myself, but hopefully the best version of myself, and then plugged into that place called hookup. And this is a place that we all go. It's intentionally brought on. It can be looking at a beautiful flower and getting lost in the beauty of that flower. That is hookup. That is a meditative state where it is nothing but you and the beauty of this flower that you're experiencing. Savoring ice cream or feeling a piece of chocolate melt on your tongue. Just being totally engrossed in a moment and without distraction. My cousin drives stock cars, and I think he goes into hookup when he drives because everything else leaves, and there is nothing but the road and everything. You're in that zone, and his zone has a fair amount of adrenaline perhaps with it than my hookup zone when I'm at the treatment table. But it's all kind of playing with that similar emptiness and hooked to something bigger than ourselves. And so I'd like to demonstrate just going into hookup. It's a really sweet place. And so I'll just show you what that looks like for me. And so it usually involves really kind of settling into my body. And I'm going to close my eyes. And so that's hookup. And so often when a person drops into hookup, it's felt in the room. And when a group of people go into hookup, it's felt in a room. It's a good place. And so this place of hookup, it's just a good place to drop into every day. You're fighting with someone, just drop into hookup. Just get connected with yourself, get connected with the emptiness and the nothingness and the energy that surrounds us. Things aren't going the way you think it should be. Just take a few minutes and drop into Hookup. Feeling scared, breathe and drop into Hookup. So, playing with the tissue from this place of Hookup is kind of something special about a Trager therapist. And another something that's special that kind of, I think, sets us aside or makes our work a little more interesting is pausing. A pause is just that. It's a pause. It's a pause. I'm hearing footsteps. And so I'm going to go back into Hookup. And so this pause is something that is utilized a lot in a Trager session. And Milton Trager loved the pause because he said the magic happens in the pause. It's in the not doing. It's in the place in between the doing, the pause, that is where the good stuff happens. And so it is like a reorganization time. Sometimes if I could like it to something else, like when your computer's being really wonky and, you just kind of hit the kill switch and it does all this stuff, like reorganization of its stuff. It's kind of like that happens in a pause for our neurologic systems, for our brains, for our tissue. As a practitioner, I love the pause because I love to witness what happens in the body. So I either have the horse or a dog or a human in front of me, and I've spent some great time playing with tissue, and then I pause. And there is so much cool integration and cool movement that happen in that tissue during the pause. And usually a client or the horse is in that drooling, nice, comfortable, relaxed state, and maybe not even aware of all the zillions of little quivers and shakes and twitches that happen in the tissue. It's in the pause. So we step away from the treatment table, and in doing Mentastics, we pause. We let there be integration. And so lots of body works, they'll always keep their hands on you, keep the work moving, but we step away and pause. And always after a pause, when you come back to the body, come back to a leg or come back to a head or come back to a neck, there's change. And in horseback riding, that pause, if you're working, you're on something, you're doing shoulder in or haunches in or some sort of task, and you kind of get to a place and you're like, ah. But if you pause, just go and stand in the center of the ring for a few minutes. Just let there be a pause. Just hang out with your horse. Let there be a pause. Come back to it. And your horse has been percolating neurologically, cognitively, aware, unaware, and it happens. It's better. There's always improvements. So in life, if I could offer you two things today, it would be, offer myself as well, it would be the love of Hookup, and it would be the gratitude of a pause, and utilizing those in your everyday life as often as you can. Changes everything, and we live in a society that is quite opposed to meditative state and pausing. It's bad for business to have employees hanging around pausing. But is it really, So again, play with those tools. That meditative hookup, get good at it. It's easy. It takes some practice. Listen when you're in that place. see what information you get, see what guidance comes in, what impulses you have. Just enjoy it. Notice the peace that happens, and then pausing. So that is what I have to offer today. And I have light. Look, my lighting system worked perfectly. So thank you for joining me, and find the good and the ease in every moment. I'll see you soon.